I particularly liked the work on the foundations. I think that was very important. In my own private lessons, I got some very detailed instruction on the circles. And actually, one of the things I liked too was we had several new students there, and they were very interested. Actually, working with John from Cedar Falls on the foundations, just working with a partner, I learned a little bit more about. We did well. The private sessions were unbelievable. But the private sessions are very, very important because it went into some very detailed instruction on what I was very interested in is the circles and how they apply in the form. And I got very detailed instructions in the circles in terms of structure, which helped me tremendously. I've noticed a huge difference since I've returned in how I do the circles and how the actual applications in the form. Just with a private lesson, that's when I really noticed, because I worked with a guy who was I worked with a guy in the group sessions after having a private session. I worked with the private instruction was actually very, very important to me. It was a huge boost in how I now do the form. Another thing I noticed too was again when in the applications I pushed it and he absolutely couldn't move me, and he's a pretty big guy too. He's probably got 10 or 20, 30 pounds on me, and that was the main thing that I really wanted to get. I had written up a fairly detailed objectives plan on what I wanted to achieve in the private lessons. I was really impressed with Joseph. I got very, very tired in one of the sessions, but he kept working with me. He didn't give up. He kept going. He knew I think that was one of the most impressive things about Joseph is he kept at it. He just didn't give up. He just kept helping me. And I had 3 sessions, and that really impressed me. His willingness to break through the frustration level, and which I did in each of the sessions I broke through. There was a frustration level, almost a wall that you hit, and he was willing to help me to break through that. And in the very detailed instructions, and that's what I saw him to do, and that's something only a high-level instructor can do. They know from their own personal experience what you need to do, and that's what I saw in Joseph. He knew what I needed to do structurally to make the changes, not only to apply, not only for in the form, doing the foundation work in the forms, but also that then relates to actual application. No, and I can't say enough about the fact that it was very, very hot. He didn't give up. He just kept going and going until we just kept going deeper and deeper. So that's what I'll be thankful to him forever for that his willingness to do that. Well, I've never had a bad workshop with Joseph, so every one of them I've been to has been very high level. Starting with the very first one I was at in Fairfield, it would have been 2005. The workshop has been a little bit different. He will emphasize something a little bit different in each workshop. This workshop was a little bit different, and each one of them was a little bit different. I noticed he emphasized some slightly different things, and the workshops depend on who is there. There was a particular individual that asked some fairly good questions about the circles, and so we kind of went into some fairly detailed explanations about the circles, and so it was a little bit different depending on who actually shows up, how many beginners are there, and so forth. We did the first approximately the first third of the form first 25% or 30% of the form. We did several repetitions of that. I think that's very important for the beginning students to continue. In my opinion, each workshop has been a little different. Since I've been with Joseph for several years now, of course, I like to have more advanced instruction. And I, in particular, got a tremendous boost out of the private instruction. So that kind of transformed into the group sessions too. So I could see the actual applications in the group session, and it really helped me to work with somebody who was obviously who I could actually see the applications, because both times I worked with people who were actually bigger than I was, and I moved them. I could really see how I could really actually use the applications. So.